operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13 with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well. Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Have you gotten into like low carbon?
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
Is here. Minutes taker. I did the last one. Who wants to do this week?
I'll do it.
Or this month. Okay, thank you, Mark.
My list of minutes.
Yes, I know.
I need to.
All right, that's the agenda item number 2. Before we get into the missing meeting minutes, let's vote on the. Have you guys had a chance to review the draft minutes that I sent around from the last meeting? Or if not, you want to take a quick look at them. They're not very extensive, and we can vote to accept or discuss to any changes.
December seems like it was such a long time ago.
Well, I think this was from oh, it was December. Okay, I was going to say November, but yeah, it does seem like years ago, Rob. I agree.
The fact that it was 2 months ago, they all look good to me.
Okay. Yeah, a little over a month ago. Yeah, the FCA, we just talked about that.
I make a motion to accept the minutes as drafted.
Okay. I'll second. Yeah, I'll second the motion. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we accept those minutes. Now, missing meeting minutes. Gosh. We've got a bunch from last year that are outstanding. Does anyone have any minutes from last year yet that are? No. Okay. Let me see. I think on a previous minutes we made some assignments, so let me see if I can dig that one up, and I'll send an email around for who owns what. And
We had it on
see if we can get some of those chipped off. Maybe if we can each do one each by the next meeting, that would be good. Get started. I think it is, I think by rule, we're supposed to have minutes for all the meetings. And I think it's helpful for the town to have them in case anybody makes inquiries as to what we're up to and the decisions that are being made and such. And if we have the minutes to back them up, they need that. So we'll do our best to get those up to date.
Well, I think, like the ones you did from last time, which are quick to the point,
Yep.
don't necessarily have to get into
He
the
said, she
minutia
said,
of every
yeah.
single thing. We do have, obviously, these are recorded, the details recorded. I think we're really doing, that's probably one of the things I wanted to talk about today, is just truly just establishing what needs to be on the minutes so that we can just, they can be expedited very quickly.
Yeah.
And we don't have to write a whole 6,000 paragraphs on who said what, when they said it, and how they said it.
Yeah.
Yeah, highlights, right?
Yeah.
Just like-
That's basically, when I take minutes for all the various meetings that we do for our buildings, it's pretty much, big decision points is what I cover, or
Yep.
stuff like that. So, yeah, that sounds good. Does that make sense, Mark? I mean,
Yes.
I think that's pretty clear. It's clear enough to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, just, per topic, just, at least a little sentence as to what we discussed for that topic, and then any kind of big decisions that came out of it. But I agree, we can streamline those pretty good. I mean, it was nice when Peter could do them and he would write pages on stuff, he would capture everything, but yeah, we don't need it. And if we try to do that, we're already behind as it is, and we'll never catch up. So, all right, so my thing will be to come up with that previous list and of what's missing and who owns what, and I'll send that around to us. And like I said, a goal can be for each of us to get at least one of the old ones in for next meeting, because we're going to be meeting once a month going forward here. Okay, anything else on meeting minutes?
Nope.
No, okay. I'll move on to the FCA. I have that on here because I thought Dave was going to be able to give us an update since they executed a contract. And then I'm thinking they must have worked out a schedule at this point, and I was just curious to know what that was.
It may be a good idea for us to invite Jeff at some point to have him, if he's going to be the kind of the coordinator of that. It'd be good just to talk to him, ask what his process might look like. Does he need any help?
Yeah.
Right?
That and get an update of what his plans are for next year too, right?
Yes.
It's been a while since we've talked to them, but
Okay.
nice to to maybe get that updated again.
Yeah. No, I think that would be, it's a way for us to hit two things at the same time.
Okay, so next meeting, can you put that in, Mark, that we'll invite Jeff to, review the FCA and projects list for the coming year?
Chris, are you going to reach out to Dave?
Sharples?
Yeah, to ask, or are you going to take that on, or?
Yeah, I can do that, sure. Yeah, just see if he has an update on when they're going to get started.
Yeah, because I think their schedule had it starting fairly soon, right?
I don't recall. They could, because we've already, have the money ready for it, so they could start any time. I guess it would just...
They had to go through some contract stuff and finalize some language or whatever, finalize the actual signing of the proposal.
Oh, okay. I thought that was all set from his last email. Was that just that he sent the contract out, or that they had finalized it?
I thought in our last meeting, he had said that there was some back and forth that needed to happen, but prior to them
Yeah,
started.
but then he sent an email about a few weeks ago
Right.
that I thought had been executed, but either way.
I think it was right after the select board voted.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. They had to have the select
Right.
board okay it. So, all right.
You may have said when they thought they were going to start or something.
Yeah, I can email Dave if he's got an update on that. Yeah, and maybe they don't want us bugging them, but, one of us can definitely sit in on like an initial meeting with the town and with the, with Bureau Veritas, just to go over the game plan. I'll offer that up to Dave, that one of us could sit in on that if needed, if wanted.
Yeah, I think it's helpful sometimes if people haven't been through the process, just to know what questions to ask.
Yeah.
Listen and say, hey, here's what you might want to look at. I think also, even before that, if we've got him next meeting, is for him to be able to try to start to collect as much information as he can before they arrive. And in fact, if they could send it off prior to that, my gripe with a lot of these folks when they would show up to my office and the first day one when I'd already sent all the information off to them, and they're like hadn't started digging in and then coming up with their kind of plan of action when they got there.
Yeah, we want to make sure they've got everything. As a group, we've put our eyes on a lot of the reports and such generated over the last 10 years.
Yep.
So, yeah, it would be good to make sure they have all of those.
I don't think I was there when we did the interview with this company.
Correct.
But I know the others, they had, there was basically a
standard list.
Yeah, a checklist that they said, we'll send this to you, so this is the things that we need before we show up and stuff. I'm assuming this company has the same, like you said, so they don't show up and waste their time. So,
No, you're paying them a lot of money per hour, and for me, this is when they're on site. That's when the big dollar, that's the...
Yeah, they're only going to be up here like maybe a couple times, and I'm sure they'd like to come up just once.
Yeah.
I also is thinking is making sure that if, with a work order system, there's a lot of information a lot of people don't ask about. We used to tell all the engineers, the first thing you should request for, like, on the mechanical side is all of your, all the mechanical data, all your stuff from your BMS is great.
Yeah, I think that's a short list from the town.
Right.
Yeah.
Without a work order,
At least they have a work order, so they are putting, work orders for some of the building stuff.
Yeah, they are.
They are now? They are, okay.
Yeah.
I knew they were for the wastewater treatment plant, but I didn't realize for the rest of it, okay.
No, they've been using the work order system for everything.
Right.
Okay, good.
The PeopleSoft one there.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that I would want to make sure too, is that this company's aware of the PeopleSoft process and that their stuff is going to eventually want to dovetail into that system, I think. So, yeah, it'll be good to get Jeff in here, then we can talk about the stuff, bring up our concerns that we want to make sure they address. All right, so I think that's it for facility condition assessment. Item 4 on the agenda is CIP Select Board recommendations, revisit letter to Select Board on the Public Safety Complex. So I think this was the one that Dave wanted us to revise. I didn't get to it up until now. I'm not sure where the Select Board is in terms of finalizing the CIP list and determining what's going to be on the ballot. I don't know if we've missed the window on that.
When is the town meeting, on the budget? That's coming up, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
It has to be a certain amount of time before the vote, I think.
Right, so they can produce all the warrants.
Must be soon.
Where's the calendar?
Yeah, I forget when that is. And I don't have the login to this.
Select Board, goal setting report.
Oh, it's February 4th, town deliberative session.
Oh, okay.
So it's already been set. So the answer is,
So the big thing on that letter was just that I had pulled a number from one of the written reports for $9 million to renovate the existing police fire building, and I think Dave's point was that their final number was actually $6.5 million, I think.
correct, and I don't think I went back and looked at those numbers, and the 6.5 was, there was some other stuff that wasn't necessarily in the pricing. The 6.5 kind of represented a fairly minimal amount of renovation and, upgrading the building. So I think some of the assumptions, like when I talked about the ideas that ultimately the plan that they showed really didn't include accessibility at the upper level. It didn't include, so I think we added some additional things into that number with the idea that they'd bring the building up to current codes.
Yeah. I guess then, should I issue some sort of errata to the letter and just say this, or do we just want to let it ride with what we recommended?
I think you should, if the number needs to be corrected, we should correct it.
Okay.
For the record, right? And just,
So what should it be?
I didn't look into the numbers.
I haven't looked at it either. Yeah, Dave was pretty adamant about like 6.4 or 6.5 million, if I recall.
So that didn't include like mechanical system up. There was a lot of stuff that was not really included in that $6.5 million. And so
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me.
It was, you got it out of the presentation that Valley did, right? That
Right.
was
The $9 million was one that I found in a presentation, the most recent one that I had.
Yeah.
And then don't recall exactly where Dave,
So Dave had sent us, I think the latest that was out there was what Dave had sent us that I think was maybe presented to the select board. I think that was the last PowerPoint that had numbers, but because it had the two options, I think, right? And it talked about, it had the kind of the bare bones and then all those add-ons that they need to do. I mean,
so if I change the price though, if we do have concerns that they reduce scope and some scope that we deem the town really shouldn't skimp on, then I need to say that too.
This is the one you're going to, that was 9.7. It's probably somewhere in our folder, huh?
Possibly. I don't know. Last year was kind of a blur.
I think it might have Dave's, what he had sent.
Concept budget, April 2022.
So I have one that's from,
September?
yeah,
Yeah.
September 2nd, 2022. What was this to? Conceptual design prepared for the town of Exeter. So the number that was in the letter, it was about the public safety, the existing building? Is that what was the?
Yeah, it was taking into account, that wasn't the new police at Continental Drive. I think it was just the cost to renovate 20 Court Street for the fire department in the phase 2 of the project.
So, conceptual budget.
Yeah, so we get the...
So we had conceptual budget for 20 Court Street.
So here's the, this one is right here?
Yeah, that's dated
Yeah.
9/2.
That's the 4 million
Yep.
This is where Dave Nick gets the numbers. You basically have the 1.3 million for the alternates, and you got 180, 260, 380, so that's 700, it's a million, that's 2.3, 2.5, plus the 4, so it's like 4.4 million, but
Wait a minute,
If
you
you-
say this is 2.5 for all that?
yeah, so it's 1.3 plus,
Yeah, so
so
4 and 2.5.
this is this two-stop elevator, replacement of the windows, but there's no building envelope upgrades,
yeah.
there's no mechanical system upgrades, there's cosmetic, architectural, signage, furniture, so here's your soft cost budget, here's your construction budget. So to me, this budget was somewhat flawed because of the scope.
Yeah.
The scope was pretty minimal because it's basically 6,379 of minor cosmetic upgrades.
And it's nothing with the bays, the doors remain the same.
Right.
Bays stay the same, and that was a big issue on the report.
Yes, that was a big issue with when the fire chief made the presentation to the town. Talked about why we were doing this.
Where did you get your number from, Chris? You said was that
Mine was from must have been a previous report,
there's 9 million?
because I could not make it up. Yeah, it was like 9 million, I believe.
Concept 1, 20 Court Street, this is it right here, 9.2.
Okay.
There it is right there.
That's for the new,
This was for the 20 Court Street, so
Yeah.
here's what it was all, and then there's the total 9.2 million. So it was 7.6 million in construction cost, and then soft cost of 1.5 with a 9.18.
what's the date of that one?
This is July,
Okay. So that
no,
was,
April,
yeah.
April 25th.
So you used a different one. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, for the record, we should try to send a revised letter, right?
Right, so what should we say?
That ultimately, the scope of the 4 point whatever million dollar number provided on September 2nd, 2022, ultimately doesn't really provide the scope of work
Yeah.
that the facilities committee believes needs to be done to the building over the next 20 years.
Yeah.
For the next 20 years.
Yeah, I agree with that. If there's nothing done to the bays and the doors alone, I'm sure there's more. If I dug into it a little bit too, maybe I will, just to flesh out the letter a little more. But yeah, there's some things that are pretty critical that came up in a lot of these reports, and
It also supports the letter we had sent earlier, which had to do with the fact is that we believe that the project needed to bring those buildings up to a certain standard so that we're reinvesting in it for not a 5-year period of time,
Yeah.
not a 10-year, but for an extended period of time.
yeah.
And then there was also the discussion about the idea that, well, we'll move in there and we'll kind of figure it out, right? Well, the move in there and kind of figure it out, at least from a resident standpoint, it would be good to know, by the way, what would be our obligation to that building in a 10-year period. And this is where actually, I can't remember whether we put this building into the FCA.
I don't remember either.
But I'd love to see it. I'd love to see what they'd come up with as far as what is the deferred maintenance and on the building. Forget all the other stuff.
Yeah.
Just deferred maintenance is probably in the $2 or $3 million range.
Yeah. Yeah, and the data center needs to be updated big time too, at a minimum.
I think we did include this building. I thought we did, but this is one of the bigger, the public safety complex?
20 Court Street.
Oh, I don't think that's on the list.
I think we
took that off.
I think we need to put it on.
Oh, now you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we got you, sorry.
Yeah, because ultimately, I think because this is a really good example of where that study would have really informed the, base budget of that building is to sit there and say deferred maintenance is X. Roofs, windows,
Yeah, I know we bandied this about quite a bit too before we decided. I can't remember what's on the list for the FCA. I'd have to look at it again. I know the DPW is big on there. I know the town office, town hall's on there.
Yeah, town hall.
I don't.
We took the public safety complex off because of the project.
We probably did.
I know at one point it was off, and I don't know if it got back on, just because we figured it was, something was going to be done to it. I mean, we did talk about building a case for it, like keeping it in the FCA so that we would have even more data to support.
Correct, and I think we had that discussion with Dave. Oh, well, it's going to be, under renovation, but I think this is the exact reason why you have an FCA, is it really tells you that if you have a building that you're occupying and using, is you have at least a budgetary knowledge about what is deferred maintenance, and over a 5-year period, what would be an expected spend rate on taking care of some of the deferred maintenance.
Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, you got that letter done, Mark?
I'm focused on the meeting minutes, okay? So that's why, So just on if we decided that that we are going to send a revised letter, is that?
I will definitely make my best effort to send a revised letter in the next, I need to do it in the next week, really, for it to be worthwhile. That's going to be a tall order, but I'll see what I can do.
I mean, I think it's not going to influence anything other than maybe I don't know how it would be at the deliberative session. I think it's more for record that you're just sending.
Yeah.
For record, exactly.
Yeah, that we can just always say that the committee, their stance on this project was here.
Okay.
Right? I mean, that's...
Yes, and I think obviously right now is a record as well from...
True, right?
From our other previous meetings, is that we have been on record, making the statements about the idea that people in the community should be informed about what obligations are over time, and this is part of why we're here, is to try to help the town, look at those, budget them, plan for them.
Yeah, so we can vote in a second about voting to send a letter to update the price or the projected cost. Before that, what else? So we've talked a little bit about what else we'd like to say. I guess another vote maybe on its own is, do we support the $6.5 million effort, or do we think that's insufficient?
I don't think that there's enough information about what the 6.5. I think that what they should have done, what they should do, is say that this is the option that they would like to pursue, and pursue it, and figure out what the scope is, and put a design together, they should be upfront and say, we want to keep fire here, and this is the scope to keep fire here, and do it, and not just try to play the game of, well, it's going to be this project and maybe add this other work on, when they're going to need to add on the other stuff to make this a 20-year building.
Yeah.
And that's my opinion, that they should pick the path, be transparent, so people understand that in reality, phase 1 is building the new building for police, but phase 2 has to be renovating this existing building, and here's the project. What I understand is what they're doing now is that they're just saying this is what they want to do, build the police. Fire's going to stay, and there might be a future project, and that will be a different warrant article down the road. But it's not the way that I would want them to do it. But it's my opinion. And I think that's what we kind of said in the letter.
It is.
Right.
That is exactly what...
Pick a path, be transparent, tell the community that this is a first phase of a bigger project, and that there has to be a follow-up project at the existing building.
Well, I have real concerns. The 6.5 million isn't sufficient. It's a lot of money to spend on something, but if it doesn't even get us something like revamped bays and doors for the large equipment trucks, then I'm not sure what we're doing here, so.
I agree. I mean, I think that it's a conceptual that they are trying to keep the cost low and having all these other things as like, we think we might want to do this, but, it's not in our base, and base is 4 million, but in reality, they're going to need to do something like that.
Yeah. So Rob, I guess your closing thoughts on the price change and what our address of that should be?
I'm in agreement that we should be forceful about the value of the cost value is greater than $4.5 million, put it that way.
Okay.
So,
yeah, we could just say we have reservations about, so.
well, it's the scope and cost. I mean, the reality is the scope to me does not put the building in a position to be used for more than a 5-year period. So it's just if you were going to sit there and say from a sustainability and energy usage standpoint, right, that we could save money if they were to redo building envelope, right? Invest in better windows, invest in more ventilation, improve, so another example is the plan that they showed still had basically one kind of sleeping area. They did not have any parity when it came down to having both men and women or anything else within it. So to me, it's not based upon even what's current. Never mind what's going to be in some future planning. Is that you have to? We should be anticipating at least something versus just saying we're going to do the bare minimum now and then figure it out in 10 years.
Yeah.
I just forwarded you the letter, resent back to you, Chris, and to Rob, the letter that was sent to the select board dated November 10th, 2022.
Okay.
So just have it on the top of the inbox, but.
Yep. Yeah, I'll attach it to our updated letter too.
Yeah. I mean, what it said is that the FAC recommends that the board in town review and recommend one of the two options for 20 Court Street, demolish or renovate. The LBA study yielded a cost of approximately 9.1 for renovation addition and a cost of 10.9 for the new building. So those are the numbers that have to be updated. So first step, FAC recommends that the town fully vet the option proposed to renovate and develop a realistic full cost for a concept that considers current renewal needs and includes items currently listed as add alternates, but most likely should be included. For example, additional cost of $1.3 million was listed for full replacement of MEP-FP, the age and condition of current, I'm paraphrasing, the systems make the replacement of these critical systems necessary and should be included in the baseline. This would allow for a fair comparison between the two options and enable the select board to make the best recommendation.
I think it states exactly what our
It's still our position even after the revised cost, and maybe even more our position because the revised renovation costs cut even more out of their baseline budget.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think you could just put up top, say revision, revised, whatever, just to.
I don't even know if I'll revise it. I might just put in a new letter.
Sure. And
then attach this to it, include both letters or something.
So $6.5 million over simple math, 6.5 million over 20 years is basically like a $350,000 a year cost.
Versus 10.9 over 20 years. What's the math of that? Well, 500,000 a year?
More, probably.
And you get a brand new building?
So it's probably 550, because
Right.
it's almost double.
So for a brand new building versus a renovated.
Yeah.
So to me, and then what is the tax rate impact by starting over versus trying to renovate?
Correct. But I guess part of this is the point for a lot of the financial planning is that the building was built in 1979. It is 2023 right now. So this is the idea that you're taking a 44-year-old building.
Yeah.
And that's what an FCA would tell you is that with the lifespan of the exterior skin, you could pull that skin off there of that brick building, and who knows what you're going to find behind it from a infiltration standpoint. There's so much that and the people that are in that building who work in there are the most costly people to the town.
Yeah.
They represent the largest budget by far.
Yeah, no, I think those, I agree with you totally. I mean, I think that's where if they did a little bit more of an analysis on the existing building renovation option and tied in some of the stuff you were talking about, the building envelope, is the roof being replaced, is what else is there that's there, where they're effectively resetting the age, but there's components that are not being reset, right? Versus complete replacement for more, but you'll have a 50-year building versus a 20-year building.
And I think that's the idea, right? Ultimately, if you sit there and say, well, if this one lasted, 43 years,
right,
and you sit there and say, if I took the 10 million over 43 years, it's pretty.
Yeah, and some of the systems we're talking about too, like mechanical, like if they do the renovation without doing mechanical and then they go back in 5 years to do the mechanical, it becomes more expensive and a lot more disruptive.
So
to try to do that,
$4 million and then replace the mechanical.
That's what I mean. I would want to do all that at once. Like you just
honestly, and then then I don't know. I'd have to refresh myself, but where are they with the electrical upgrades?
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So there's also another one of these things, calculation from a real estate side and from a usage side, which is basically utilization calculation. So they take buildings that are inefficient, right, and they look at it, they sit there and say, okay, well, what do I get for an actual utilization? And I bet you if you looked at that building, because of the split conditions, because the floors don't connect, because of all these other scenarios, is that you can't get to the police side from the fire side, and it's, they're at different levels and all these other things, is that it's an inefficient building.
Yeah.
So you may, from a square footage standpoint, you may have 18,000 square feet, but of that 18,000 square feet, what percentage of that is truly usable square feet? And I'm beating a dead horse.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a way to.
Put that in.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a motion here that we can vote on and move forward with. So, the first part of the motion would be, do we vote to amend or to add an additional letter, amend the cost of the renovation, and then the second part would be, do we have recommendations or commentary on that cost? Like we say, yeah, we had an error in our first letter, it should have been this amount of money, but our points from the original letter stand, and we think this is probably going in the wrong direction in terms of what we would recommend in terms of scope for the fire center.
So I guess the question you're asking ultimately is that the value that we're stating, you're thinking we need to amend that value, or we just leave the value as originally stated?
Yeah, I don't think it's good to say, I guess, yeah, okay, so we had a wrong number in our previous letter, here's the right number. Is there enough in the original letter to cast doubt upon that option?
Let me read it again if you want. Or Rob,
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say, so it talks about the numbers, right? As a first step, we recommend that the town fully vet the option proposed to renovate the existing facility at 20 Core Street and develop a realistic full cost for the concept that considers current renewal needs and includes items that currently listed as added alternates, but most likely should be included. I think that's pretty clear what we're.
That's okay. So we would just say, okay, this price was wrong, but our points around it still stand.
Yeah.
So
I think that's.
It sounds like we weren't even sure that was a good assessment of.
What it's basically saying is that ultimately the number that we have and the scope that is outlined, we don't believe that scope and everything else has gone through the right process to determine really what the value needs to be to share with the community. Is how I would say that, is that it's not fully vetted. they bidded a lot of those other schemes, but this last one, I think that they, in an effort just purely to get the number down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We basically stripped it of any scope, and with this, okay, well, we'll kick the can down the road. That's what we talked about last time. So,
All right, so I'll make a motion to say the facility committee will write another letter to amend the number for the renovation from 9 million down to 6.5 million, which includes all of the alternates, and we'll just reiterate our initial recommendation in the original letter that this number needs to be fully vetted before moving forward with it. So,
second?
Yeah.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, okay. All right, so I will get that out late this week or early next week. Yeah, item 5 is a public safety complex update. Dave's not here, so we don't have anything on that. I don't know if either of you two have heard anything on that.
I haven't really.
I have not. All right, so we'll move on to item 6, the ADA list. Unfortunately, we'll miss Amanda on this one. That's something else we can talk with Jeff about, Mark, is the ADA list. I think he's one of the stewards of that, in addition to him and Doug.
And did that stay in the scope of the FCA? The ADA?
I don't believe it. I think we talked about it being integrated into, because we already have a database.
Right.
So that database ultimately.
Yeah, I don't know I don't recall if it was part of their base services or, I know we, obviously, with the budget being what it was for that, we didn't have any adders. We weren't going for anything extra
I just can remember, because when we were doing the interviews, they talked about, that was kind of their standard baseline was ADA, but you're right, we already have the data, maybe just be taking the data, putting it in the database.
And I think that's one of the things it would be, is to ask them if they can migrate what's already in there, if they, do an export and they import it, so they can at least be included in that, and they can give some estimation on the value of the items listed.
And is Dave Sharples, or is it Doug Eastman that's kind of the coordinator?
I think Doug and Jeff are both
responsible for that, right?
Yeah, Doug Eastman. I think Jeff is too. I think the two of them are both.
Well, I think that it's important, because I think the reality is the town needs to, similar to road repairs, similar to all these other things, is that there needs to be a plan in place on a yearly basis to begin to address each of their, each of the facilities and the exterior of how to, improve those things.
Yeah, one of the big things on the list was just how non-compliant the downtown area was for sidewalks and crossings and things like that.
Oh, really?
It's pretty surprising, yeah.
All new sidewalks and stuff, So what are the next steps on that?
I think we can talk to Jeff about it at the next meeting.
All right, so I'll ask Jeff to provide an update.
Yeah, I think that can dovetail with our FCA discussion too, that'll be part of the data that we want to make sure gets to Bureau Veritas.
Okay.
Last item I have is just new business. Oh, actually, before we get to that, as far as DPW is concerned too, so Jen is retired. Have they hired a new director yet, or how's that going?
I've heard that they have, and the person's reporting in February, but I don't know who or where or anything like that. So that's
good.
Just through some emails that I had received.
I think they still have another position still open, because Jen's
assistant engineer, right?
Right, assistant engineer hasn't been filled either.
No. And what was Matt Berubie's water and sewer manager? He's left.
Did he really?
Yep.
Oh.
Do you want to ask where he went?
Yeah, I know that they're.
Did he go to PEA?
No. Who was the company that he was working with the most?
Oh, PeopleSoft? Mm-hmm. Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. I'm sure it's a good move for him.
Yeah, that's got to pay better. I can't say that in public. But that's too bad, because, Matt was one of the guys that I was looking towards for this FCA stuff to kind of help with that. 'cause-
He picked up that system pretty quick. It sounded
Yeah.
like, so, but-
Yeah, that's too bad.
all right, so are we in new
But
business?
anyway, now we're up to new business. Anyone have any new business items?
I have one new business item. It has to do with the impending end of Mark's term.
My term?
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
April of this year.
Uh-oh. What am I supposed to do to renew
I don't
it?
know. I was looking at the
I just
website.
went through this. I think I did this last year.
Have I been doing this for free for a long time?
Yeah.
Maybe I've already expired and I'm supposed to.
No, you haven't
No, I think
expired
your
yet.
original terms were running for like 4 or 5 years, and I think mine was only like a 2 or 3 year term when I started. Because I just renewed.
You are up in 2024. I'm up in 2024. Mark is up 4/30/2023.
So how did you get an extra year? Did you already extend? Because we came on the same time.
I think I did. I think for some reason, I think I had to file something a couple of years ago.
Okay, so I'll have to reach out to Dave. I'll reach out to Dave.
I'm trying to think, like, I didn't even know mine was ending, and I think somebody, it might have been Pam, reached out to me
Yeah.
from the town and just asked if I wanted to renew. At the most, I might have had to fill out some form. I don't even know if I had to do that, just,
So it was April, you said?
yeah.
April 30th.
That's usually
30th.
when everything turns over.
I will reach out to Dave to see if I can extend.
I'm gonna make sure we don't.
Yeah, we can't lose any more.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
Where's happened to Mark? He left.
Wonder if I just kept on coming, if the people would.
I don't know. Good question.
I might have to sit on that side of the table, but
Yeah.
That's true. You just do public comment.
It wasn't any, I think they'll reach out to you sometime, Mark. But I mean, if you want to start the process, that's great.
I'll just shoot him an email. And see.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I won't.
All right. Anything else, Rob, for new business? We'll let you monopolize the first part of this segment if you want. I think last time we had met, you had talked a little bit about streamlining processes between all the committees.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I have on that, in February, there's going to be a meeting at the library for the committee chairs and the select board. I have no idea what the agenda is yet, but we're going to be meeting in probably 2 or 3 weeks. So next meeting, I'll report back.
Oh, great. Excellent.
Come out of that.
All right. Say that again so I put it in the meeting minutes.
I think February 10th, there's a meeting scheduled with the select board and all the committee chairs. And I think we're going to talk about how the committees will work with the select board going forward.
Okay.
It would probably be good to get it on our agenda, maybe for, if we get a new director coming in sometime in, the May timeframe.
For what?
If we get a new new director of DPW, it would be good maybe to
Oh, have them
get
come
that
in.
on our radar for a meet and greet.
Okay. Yeah, the only new business I have is we need a vice chair with Amanda gone. We don't,
Volunteered last time.
Oh, did I? Oh, well, I'm ending in April, so
yeah, he's out of here.
we need.
I mean, if we want, we can wait till next meeting and then,
Yeah, I
you know.
think with Alan. I think that's what we said last time, wasn't it?
I think, and hopefully Alan's not watching or listening, but we could just put in the meeting minutes that
Alan's the new
Alan.
vice. That's true, we can vote on it.
Motion.
We can vote on it, he's not even here.
Yeah, that he accepted remotely or whatever, virtually.
So, yeah, next meeting, let's pick a vice chair.
Okay.
I don't want to be chair after the April either. I mean, I like doing it, but at the same time, last year was crazy busy. This year is shaping up to be the same, so it's tough. It's been tough for me to keep up with it, so.
Yeah, that's the problem.
If we can, and we rotate every year or two between, someone new as a chair.
Well, at this point, with 4 people, being a vice chair is, fundamentally,
Yeah. everyone's-
We're barely at a quorum.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
So, yeah, we'll pick a vice chair at the next meeting.
Interim vice chair or?
Even if it has to be like a
Vice
hostile,
chair first.
hostile
Then
vote,
make
you
a
know?
Note that, hey, I need to roll out of being the chair in April, and then the vice chair needs to roll up to the,
That's true.
So when are we doing that, next month? I think I'm going to be,
you have a conflict?
oh, I won't be there. Too bad.
Well, that's on the assumption that Alan feels good about being the,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
so March becomes vice chair, April becomes chair. Sounds
That would
like a
be
good transition.
I'd be good with that. All right, Mark, anything new on your end for new business?
No.
All right, I think that's it then.
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
All in favor of adjourn, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So moved.
That was a quick meeting, and meeting minutes are coming your way in 2 minutes.
Good. That's perfect. Yeah, with Dave not here, we don't know what's going on.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.